Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sisi Radha Madhava ki jai, Sisi Radha Giridhari ki jai. Jayo Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraj Gaja Jashodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayo Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraj Gaja Jashodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, BBT founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sombera Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories, CC Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namaste, Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajali, Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Pashkatyadi Shatari. Text 9. So this morning, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 20, verse 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sulabha Yudi Viprarse Hi Anivritas Tanuchajaha Na Tata Tirtha Ayate Shraddhaya Ye Dhana Jajaha Sulabha Yudi Viprashe Yani Brittastanutyajaha Na Tata Tirtha Ayate Shraddhaya Ye Dhanatyajaha Sulabha Yudi Viprashe Yani Brittastanutyajaha Na Tata Tirtha Ayate Shraddhaya Ye Dhanatyajaha Sulabha Yudi Viprashe Yani Brittastanutyajaha Na Tata Tirtha Ayate Shraddhaya Ye Dhanatyajaha. Anyone like to chant? Viprashe Anyone online?
Sulabha Yudi Viprashe Yani Vritas Tanutyajaha Na Tata Tirtha Ayate Shraddhaya Ye Dhanatyajaha.
Sulabha, very easily obtained. Yudi, in the battlefield. Vipra Rishe, O best of the Brahmins. He, indeed, Anibritaha, not being afraid of fighting. Tanu Jajaha, and thus lay down their lives. Na, not, tata, as, tirte ayate, on the arrival of a saintly person who creates holy places. Shraddhaya, with faith and devotion. Ye, those who, dhana tyajaha, can give up their accumulated wealth. O best of the Brahmanas, many men have laid down their lives on the battlefield, being unafraid of fighting. But rarely has one gotten the chance to give his accumulated wealth faithfully to a saintly person who creates holy places. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Many Kshatriyas have laid down their lives on the battlefield for their nations, but hardly a person can be found who has given up all his property and his accumulated wealth in charity to a person worthy of the gift. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, 17 chapter 20th verse, Datavyam iti yadhanam diyate nanupak karine deshe kale chapatre cha tadhanam satvikam smritam. That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. Thus, charity given in the proper place is called sattvika, and above this charity in goodness is transcendental charity, in which everything is sacrificed for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vamanadeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, had come to Bali Mahārāja for alms. How could one get such an opportunity to give charity? Therefore, Bali Mahārāja decided without hesitation to give the Lord whatever he wanted. One may get various opportunities to lay down his life on the battlefield, but such an opportunity as this is hardly ever obtained. Om Agyan Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chaksuran Minitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svabadandikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu bhevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So by your ardent prayers and good wishes, I'll try to say a few things. So, Bali Mahārāja, of course, he's referring to Kshatriyas here. And what do they call that? They call it, I guess sometimes referred to as the greatest sacrifice. When people go off to fight in a war and they're killed, they say he made or she made the greatest sacrifice. Now, you gave up your life for something. That doesn't come every day, does it? Sometimes they ask you to cook an offering or take out the trash, but no one around here is asking you to give up your life, are they? Right? Just think about what kind of sacrifice that is, that you're going and you could lose your life. Your life is on the line as a soldier, as a Kshatriya. And of course it says here that real Kshatriyas, a good point being made here, that they ani britaha, they're not afraid of fighting. That's a qualification of a Kshatriya. Also of a drunk sailor, and Sudras and so on, they don't mind fighting a little bit. But what we're referring to here is fighting for the right reason, but they're not afraid to fight. In fact, it's a Kshatriya principle that when you're challenged, you have to accept the challenge. But of course, Kshatriya code means you don't challenge someone weaker than you. You always challenge someone equal. Just like when Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima went to visit Jarasandha on the advice of, who gave him the advice to go see Jarasandha? It begins with a U. His name begins with a U. Who advised the three of them to go see Jarasandha and ask for some charity? Uddhav, yeah. Remember there was what to do first. You got a Jarasandha or those kings that were imprisoned, you know. So they went there, disguised themselves as Brahmins. Of course, Jarasandha could immediately look at them and say, "You don't look like Brahmins to me." You know, the big Kshatriya. You can imagine how powerful Bhima looked, especially, let alone Arjuna. So usually Brahmins like Agramapati, kind of thin and so performing so many austerities and so on. Anyways, where am I going with this? Yes, equal. So Jarasandha said, "Wait a second, I know you're not Brahmins. You want some charity? I'll give you some charity." He said, "In fact, I think," and then he said, okay, you're right, we're not Brahmins. I'm Krishna, your old friend Krishna, remember me? How many times did the Jarasandha attack Krishna? And his whole army was wiped out 18 times. So they already had a relationship going on. Of course, he thought himself better because at the last one, Krishna just left to go marry Rukmini, so he thought he was afraid of him. So I can't fight with you because you are a coward. You just ran away from the last battle. Kshatriyas don't run away from battle. The Kshatriya would never have a wound in the back. So wounds are always on the front. It's easy for the doctors like that to put them back together, but because they're always fighting, they're never running. And he said, "Arjuna, you're a little too young, a little bit younger than me. I don't think I'm going to fight with you. But Bhima, okay, I'll fight with Bhima." Because that was they asked for. They asked for a fight like that. So you pick someone of equal level, and then you challenge them. Okay, I'll fight with you. Not that you. Sometimes you have to fight someone who's stronger than you, but usually that's because that person's not a Kshatriya. Usually even like that. So they're not afraid to fight. That's an amazing quality if you think about it. Most of us, when we see some danger, we run in the other direction, right? Sometimes it's like, whoa, I'm not going to deal with that. Who here would mind being drafted into the service right now and having to go and fight somewhere? Who would look forward to something like that, besides Dvijamani? I'm only kidding. Like that. No, because it's not our nature. But there are people, their nature. They just like the idea of going and fighting for the right cause. So, but it's saying here that's pious for a Kshatriya, and it's described if you lay down your life for the right reason, you go to Swarga, you go to the heavenly planets. So that's there for Kshatriyas, but then Bali Mahārāja is saying, but look what's happening here. I have a great opportunity to give all my accumulated wealth faithfully to a saintly person who creates holy places. That's Vamanadeva. So it says that the Supreme Lord, wherever he goes, that place becomes a tirtha, a dham. And then also great devotees, wherever they go, they create holy places just by their presence. So on such a level. And so he's saying, well, you can lay down your life, but how about this? To give everything away. Because Shukracharya told him, if you say yes, he's going to take everything. He only asked for 3 steps of land, but it's Vishnu. He's going to take everything from you. And he's saying, that's amazing, that's wonderful. What a rare opportunity. Let's go for it. So as far as is referring here to dana or charity, and Prabhupada is referring to this 17th chapter, verse 20. And before I speak on those 3 verses, there is a verse in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter where Arjuna's asking Krishna a question. He's saying, talking about renunciation. What's the name of the 18th chapter? Conclusion. Perfection, renunciation. It's all about renunciation, sannyas, renunciation. And Arjuna saying, some people say, when you become renounced, you should give up different, religious activities and so on. Charity, what is it here? Let me see, bring it up. I got the right verse. There's 3 different things. Because he's saying here that sacrifice, charity, and penance. The sannyas, you shouldn't bother with these things. Some people say that. But Krishna's saying, you want my opinion on this, acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, for they must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. So Bali Mahārāja is a great soul, and he's also calculating that if I give in charity, if I give in charity, then I'll become purified. Now, on a device here, could someone bring up something? Because I need someone to bring up a purport and verse. Ready? 2nd Canto, 3rd chapter, 17th verse. We'll come to that. It probably gives a nice definition in that. Okay. About giving in charity. This is that famous verse about both by rising and by setting the sun decreases the duration of life, except for one who utilizes time by discussing the topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. And in this purport, Prabhupada is saying that it's recommended, charity is recommended. It's one of the main things to give in charity, to be charitable. It's recommended for Kshatriyas. They can't collect all that taxes without giving in charity and helping their citizens. And Brahmins are supposed to give in charity. You get all this, you get charity, but you're also supposed to distribute it and help others, householders. That's one of the big things for householders, to give money. So everyone should be trained to give in charity according to what they're able to give. So of course, what's the greatest charity? It's giving people Krishna consciousness. So, but it's saying here, Prabhupada's explaining that when you give in charity, what do you get back? Because we're going to read about the 3 kinds of charity. What's referred to here, this verse 20, is charity in the mode of goodness. There's charity in the mode of passion. There's even charity in the mode of ignorance. But Prabhupada's saying here, if you want to make a calculation, get the, what do they call the biggest bang for your buck? The expression in American, biggest bang for your buck. Or what is that? ROI. Actually, that's what we should say. ROI, return on investment. Okay, you give in charity, what are you going to get back? Of course, that's mode of passion. You're calculating, but still, in this purport, it says here that money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed bank balance in the next life. You will get it back. Such charity is recommended to be given to a Brahmana, like Ramapati Prabhu. It says right there. If the money is given in charity to a non-Brahmin without Brahminical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. Whatever you give, you get back. Okay? If it's given in charity to a half-educated Brahmin, I don't know what that means. Like you dropped out halfway through Brahmin school? What does that mean? Or you didn't listen half of the time? Whatever, but half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. You get back twice. If the money is given in charity to a learned and fully qualified Brahmin, the money is returned 100 and 1,000 times. If the money is given in charity to if the money is given to a Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of the Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. So you could say here that Bali Mahārāja is making a calculation that I should give in charity to Vamanadeva, because whatever I give to him will come back to me in an unlimited amount. Unlimited amount. And of course, sometimes what this is described, what it means unlimited, is actually not a monetary amount. It's actually your elevation back home, back to Godhead. That's what you're given. Spiritual return. When you give spiritual charity, you get spiritual return. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is referring here in the 17th chapter where Krishna is discussing the modes of material nature and different activities in the modes. And this mode of goodness is charity in the mode of goodness is what's been read. Let's read the 3 of them. Okay, charity given out of duty. You're supposed to give charity. The Vedas recommend how much, at least? No, king collects 25, but charity, 10% minimum. 10% of your livelihood should be given away. Minimum 10%. And then we have different things, but there's verses in the Dharma Shastras, minimum 10% you should be giving to others. Like that. Yeah, I've been told that. Prabhupada told us 50%. That's the whole topic of discussion. But the point is, it's a duty. We have duties to do. We have duties, and our duty to society is to help others and to give in charity, what it may be. It may not be that easy. I remember Jim Rohn, this one speaker, said that he always taught his children from a very early age, you always give 1/10 of what give 10%. And when you're a kid and you're making, $1 a week in allowance, it's not so hard to give a dime, right? Or $100, you give $10 and so on. But he said the problem starts happening when you start making millions of dollars, and you're supposed to give 10%. It's like, I made $100 million. I'm supposed to give $10 million away? That's a lot of money, right? It gets harder as more and more money. The amount goes up. It's like, that's a lot of money to give away. But that's what you're supposed to do. That's your duty, like that. It says here, without expectation of return. Now, I think Bali Mahārāja is on that level where he's not really expecting return. He just knows it's the right thing to do. He just knows it's the right thing to do, and all good fortune will come his way. At the proper time and place, to a worthy person, this is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Okay. Now, what happens if you give in the mode of passion or ignorance? That's described later on, because charity in and of itself, you have to think about who you're giving the money to and so on, because you can actually create a lot of problems giving in charity at the wrong time, place, and to the wrong person. So it says here, check text 21, but charity performed with the expectation of some return. What will I get for this? Or with a desire for fruit of results, or in a grudging mood. Okay, here you go. Right? Okay, here you go. I'll give it to you. Like that. It's said to be charity in the mode of passion. Like that. Prabhupada says here, you're giving in charity, you want to go to heaven. And sometimes it's with great trouble and repentance. And afterwards, people think, why have I spent so much money this way? Like we're lamenting, I gave in charity. So that's all mode of passion. Or sometimes it's out of obligation, a superior person tells you have to do it. You don't really want to do it, but you're told you have to do it. So that's not charity and goodness. Then charity in the mode of ignorance, it says here, and charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Purport: contributions for indulgence in intoxication and gambling are not encouraged here. That sort of contribution is in the mode of ignorance. Such charity is not beneficial. Rather, sinful persons are encouraged. Similarly, if a person gives charity to a suitable person, but without respect and without attention, that sort of charity is also said to be in the mode of darkness. Oh boy. One thing can be said here, there's a type of discussion on morality. Now, being a charitable person is a moral thing. You're considered very moral and upstanding if you're giving in charity, right? But there's a discussion as far as different aspects of morality. Are they absolute? In other words, just give in charity. It doesn't matter who you give to or whatever. The fact that you're giving in charity is always good. Just charity for the sake of charity. That's one philosophy. The other philosophy is you have to be very careful about when you do something, what is the actual result of that? Just like telling the truth. There's different stories about that. Is it always good to tell the truth in every single circumstance? In other words, is that a yes or a no? Oh, she walks out and her phone goes off. Okay. Roa's feeling the presence of your mom. It's okay. Truth. Should you always tell, in other words, truth for the sake of truth should always be told. You should never, ever, ever lie. You just always tell the truth. I forget what that's called. Do you know what that's called, that discussion? There's a type of morality and just like, it's just no bending the rules or whatever, just for the sake of, there's some name for it.
People talk about radical honesty.
Maybe things like, yes, that's what I remember hearing a lecture on this. But there's others who say, no, sometimes you shouldn't tell the truth because the result of telling the truth is actually worse than lying, you could say. And one example given, because this comes up in the Mahabharata, there's a whole discussion about that. And Krishna tells a story about that. This ashram, and there's this family, like a small family, are being chased by some dacoits who want to rob and kill them. And they run and they hide in the ashram, duck into one of the grass huts, like that or something. And then the dacoits come with their swords and all that, and they ask the sage, have you seen this family? And you don't have to be like a Harvard grad to figure out what's going on here. You know, they're dacoits, they're ready to, you know. And the sage goes, oh yes, I can't tell a lie, they're over there in that grass hut. And guess what happened? So, was that right? He wanted to maintain his vow of always telling the truth? No, it wasn't right at all. And he suffered in his next life because of that. Like that. So charity, she's always given charity, no discrimination. No, but there has to be some discrimination. That's what Krishna is saying here. There's charity and goodness, charity and passion and ignorance. So when the time comes to give in charity, again, what we say, go back to your ROI. What's your return on investment? You only have a certain amount of money to give in charity. Why don't you give it to the best person or for the best cause? You know, has anyone in this room ever been approached for a donation from a person who you probably figure much they're going to walk into a liquor store or something like that and buy something to drink? Yeah. I've even seen it right in front of me. Maybe about 30, 40 years ago, just parked down over here with my family in the car. The guy comes up, says, hey, you know, I'm really hungry. Can you help me out? So here you go. He turned around, walked right into the liquor store. He said, it's the last time I'm going to give to someone. He's like, give him some prasadam or something. Because I just financed his sinful activities by my charity. So it didn't help me, didn't help him. So what was the point? The charity should be given to help others. It should be given to help others. And of course, what we know, and Prabhupada's pointing out in the purport here, the greatest charity is to give for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Now, there are other instances where charity should be given to help, just there are things to help the running of society. But, and that's many times for different members of society will help. Like that's not that our movement should make a lot of money, then write a check every year to Kaiser or Sharp for more hospitals or things. That's not our business. Our business is to raise all this money specifically for disseminating Krishna consciousness, which is the greatest. You know, in other words, you're going to give to the greatest. You don't have to give to something lesser. You don't have to. You may give to different charities and so on to help people, but make sure they're actually really helping people. Actually helping people. And it's an interesting thing about charities. The law is that when you give to a charity, I think it's at least, as long as the law is they have to spend at least 10% of what they give on helping others. Isn't that amazing? So where's the other 90% going? Administrative costs. Like that. I mean, I'm saying that there, but that's the law. At least 10% is helping others. Goes below that, you're in trouble as a charity or a nonprofit. But and then therefore many organizations will show, actually we are giving 90% of what we get, and there's only 10% for administrative costs and so on. But it's interesting, the law is at least 10%. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So Bali Mahārāja is extremely intelligent here, and he's pointing out even something as drastic as giving up your life on the battlefield. You know, what a sacrifice that is, but he's saying much greater than that. This is, you can't even compare that to what the opportunity he's been given. So to actually give to, he's thinking if Vishnu, his spiritual master told him it's Vishnu, so whether it's Vishnu or a great devotee, a great Brahmin, wow, what an opportunity. So we've all been blessed. We have an opportunity to give in charity or give of ourselves to Srila Prabhupada, his movement, to Krishna, to Lord Chaitanya, to other devotees. So we're very, very fortunate. Because many, many people, they never get that association. They never get the opportunity to give to such an elevated personalities, to the devotees of the Lord, his representatives, or to the Lord himself. So it's a great, great boon. So he's making these different, a rebuttal to his spiritual master told him not to do it. So the next few verses, he says a few more things, and then more or less they part ways with a curse. That will come up. Shukracharya says, so you're going to go ahead and do this? He said, I'm going to do it. And I said, I curse you, you'll never have any opulence. And it says in there that Krishna inspired him to say that. Because Vamanadeva was going to take everything. So he might as well say it. Right? The Guru might as well say it. I curse you that you'll lose everything. Of course he's going to lose everything. Krishna's going to take it. But if you're going to lose everything, why not have Krishna personally take it as a gift? Krishna's going to take it anyways. Right? Thank you. There's a saying in German that I was taught many, many, many years ago by Shivananda Prabhu, who started our movement in Germany. I don't remember the German, but I do remember the English. But he used to quote this in class, Bhagavatam class. Famous, very common saying in German. The dead don't have pockets. He liked that. He liked that. The dead don't have pockets. So what does that mean, Srishwara? We're not taking anything with us, right? Not taking anything with us. Dead have no pockets. Like that. You can't take it with you. So we can end here if you like. I can end it with... No, I better not. I was going to say I can end with a joke if you like, but I'm not going to end it with a joke. I shouldn't end with a joke. So there's a poem? Okay, a poem. What is that? Forget the past that sleeps, and never the future dream at all, but act in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. Hare Krishna. Whew. Okay, any microphones, any questions or comments on charity and different things we discussed? Or is everyone good?
So one particular point in your class, you're mentioning how people, sometimes they're given the opportunity to give their life in battlefield and so on, and yeah, we're not really being asked to do that. We're, okay, take out the trash or make this offering or whatever it may be. And so I was thinking about that, and right now in the leadership of ISKCON in America, including Canada, they have come up with this idea which they call 335, which means by 2035 they want to make 3% of US, including Canada, Krishna conscious. And they have some measure like that. I don't know, I think it's something like chanting 1 round, or I forgot what it was, 2 rounds, and then coming to the temple, I forgot how many times, so many programs or something. That's how they kind of gauge it. Now, sometimes people, devotees, they look at such a idea and they think, I mean, you have a hard time, like, you know, people have a hard time dressing their deities in the temple, or, you know, cooking all their offerings. And part of this, they want every temple to at least have a few centers, like satellite centers, you know, which, again, looking at the last 60 years, I mean, how many centers have opened, you know? Of course, someone can make the argument, okay, well, therefore do it. So, anyways, do you have any thoughts on that? Because, yeah, on that general idea of people having a hard time seeing how such a thing is practical or possible when a lot of the temples are kind of struggling with very basic things.
Just one short comment. There's a saying that you don't know how far you can go until you've gone too far. So in leadership, it's a good thing to put out a very big goal. Probably give the example of the rhinoceros. You go hunt a rhinoceros. If you get it, fantastic. If you don't, people say, well, it's not that easy to get a rhinoceros. But you set it high. So, and there's another saying also that the goals you set in life should be for what they make of you. Understand that? The goals in life you set should be for what they'll make you become. Whatever it is. So why not set a high goal like that? And everyone work very, very hard. Now, if we don't get that, you may get 224 instead of 335, or whatever the numbers are. But everyone probably said fresh challenge. All the devotees should have a fresh challenge. When you wake up in the morning, do you feel like you have a fresh challenge every day, Prabhu? Yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. Okay, because you always seem like you're always fresh, and you're not challenging too many people. No, I mean, you always seem excited. So everyone should have a fresh challenge instead of like, business as usual or something like that. So I don't know, all the details and all that, but why not? Because what it will make of us? Working hard, we may or may not get it, but if everyone's enthusiastic to do as best they can to get to that, even halfway there is better than where we are now. So why not? Why not go for it? And all kinds of inspiration will come, and I mean that's our line also. Srila Prabhupada would set so many different goals and so on, and just a fresh challenge for everyone. Why not go for it? Because there's what's called the Krishna miracle, right? The Krishna miracle. That Krishna just wow, we never knew we could do that. Krishna's always intervening, but Krishna sometimes makes the impossible possible. And it's like, it's so enlivening. So I hope that answers your question, because you just asked my opinion. Yes, you have a microphone, Prabhu. No, you give the microphone to Balaram for that. I don't live in the brahmacharya. I'll give you some fresh challenges for grihastas. You're all brahmacharis.
Just if anyone could share a few examples of fresh challenges in the brahmacharya ashram.
Well, preaching is the big fresh challenge. Always how to expand, because it's so dynamic and ecstatic. So whatever we can do to increase our preaching programs, our book distribution, that's the big fresh challenge. That's like the maha mango. It's the big mango, isn't it? These other things are there also, but they support the preaching. So the preaching is the big, the fresh challenge. What can we do today to increase whatever our preaching may be? More prasadam, more books, more making more devotees, more congregational members. That's the fresh challenge, always. Because anandam buddhi vardhanam, spiritual nature is always expanding. It's meant to always expand, not contract or be stagnant. It's always increasing. So we should always be riding that wave of always trying to increase the movement and the preaching, the mercy that's going out to people like that. That's our line. Is that helpful?
Yeah. We should
but
all
specifically what you can do as a brahmachari, you got to talk to these older brahmacharis and ask them, how did they get to where they are without going this way? No, seriously, it's true. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, I was just going to say that we should have a challenge, all of us individually and also as a community. I think.
Yeah, and there's always quantity and there's always quality.
Yeah.
The quality of our devotional service, our rounds, or everything. There's both, quantity and quality. Very, very important. Krishna looks at both.
I had a question about the material and spiritual charity. Like when we were talking about, when you were talking about like motive, goodness, passion, ignorance, is spiritual charity, like can that also be in the mode of ignorance? Because I know...
No, it's a good question. And Prabhupada refers in one of the purports we read that he said above charity and the mode of goodness is transcendental charity, which means giving, for devotional service directly to Krishna, and that's transcendental, and the result will be transcendental. And we don't have time, but I was going to refer to the story of Maharaj Nriga. He was calculating like anything. He had read or been taught that one of the big hitters in charity is giving cows to Brahmins. He was banking on that. And he was giving thousands and thousands and thousands of cows to Brahmins and doing this is fantastic. He was thinking, I'll give enough cows in charity that I never ever come back from heaven. Now, he didn't read the Bhagavad Gita because it does say, Kshine Punyamarchalam Shanti, right? You do come back down when you run out. And then he made a mistake. Accidentally, a cow wandered back, and it turned into this whole fiasco, and he landed up being a lizard, Of course, he was blessed by Krishna, then the whole thing about Brahman's property and so on. But if you're always safe giving for spiritual purposes. You're always safe doing that. And there's different things you can give in charity, right? You can give money, you can give your intelligence, words, time, energy. There's so many things you have that you can give. Just freely give for the benefit of others. Sandesh? It's hard. From here on in till Janmashtami, Dayanidhi gets all the Sandesh and Burfis. So ask him for the charity after. But you're not going to get any from back there this way. Just an announcement. If Sandesh and Burfi, he has a container there. It all goes in there. It is to be given in charity to the donors. So,
I was wondering, what if, well, I guess two things I was thinking about, like spiritual charity, but also mode of ignorance. I was thinking, what about, so one category would be if someone is giving, just like we read about Bhakti in the different modes. So you could say someone could be performing devotional service, but still mixed with a desire for a reputation and so on, or with a particular attitude. And I don't think that's there in, I don't remember reading that in Srila Prabhupada's books. I feel like that's just something like Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, and people refer to him about practicing bhakti in the different modes. You could say, what if you're giving charity to a temple or sponsoring an abhishek or something, but in different modes with different moods. So I was thinking that's one potentially. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true because Prabhupada said in that purport, if you're grudging, begrudgingly, my mother told me to come and give, sponsor the abhishek. That's not good. You'll get some benefit because it was given for the abhishek, but also, your consciousness is not good at all.
But the thing I was wondering about more is that what about like another category would be someone gives, let's say, 10% of their money for a spiritual purpose, and let's say so they give it to some function of the Catholic Church so something with the Catholic Church, but then they're feeding meat and so on. So it seems like it is spiritual charity, and but it's also in the mode of ignorance in a certain way. It's like it is like they did kind of choose the wrong,
Well, that's not spiritual.
So
that's religious, and it's religion in the mode of ignorance.
Okay. So
spiritual means, we know what spiritual means. It's pure.
Okay, so we're just talking about Krishna
there's no bad karma or anything like that, yeah.
So not like religious. Okay, so religious would then, we just kind of wrap that up. Some religious would be in goodness, some religious would be in passion.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And you give to the Durga temple there. What's the big one in Calcutta? Yeah, go give some money so they can chop off goat heads. That's not very religious at all. I mean, it's considered a religious thing. There's a temple there of Kali and all that. It's like, I wouldn't give any money there, right? It's not spiritual at all. So that's an unpleasant note to end class on.
Let me tell that joke.
You want a joke? It's about the dead have no pockets. You want to hear it? I just told this to Kripa Mai the other day. Wonderful woman, married to a horrible man, but this man was very, very, very rich. But he was a real miser and stingy, and their whole relationship was he never gave any money for anything for her to buy this and that, and barely just a little bit. Was always on her case and so on. So it was a very unpleasant marriage, and he amassed a great amount of money, and she just was very faithful and tolerant and so on, and her friends were wondering, why don't you leave this guy and this and that. But anyways, he got sick and he died. But his last request, even verbally to his wife, is, my dear wife, you've always been so faithful to me, so what I want you to do is to bury me with all my wealth. So that was it, and it was publicly known that was his request. So the funeral's there about 2 weeks later, and the casket's open and this and that. And she has some very good friends, and they're all wondering, what is Sally, I guess, let's call her Sally, what's she going to do? I mean, this man was so cruel and horrible. She never had a life because he was such a miser. Is she going to put all his money in the casket? Is she going to take it? What's she going to do? And they're all wondering because the funeral's coming to an end. They're going to close the casket and take him to get buried. So, the priest says, okay, everyone can come and, pay your respects and so on. And people ride by, blah, 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 blah. And then she comes up. And they're all looking, what's she going to do? What's she going to do? And she opens her purse, and she takes out a check. And on that check, she wrote his name and the total value of his estate. Millions and millions of dollars. Wrote him a check, signed her name, put in the casket, and closed the casket. So he's buried with all his wealth. Very smart. Well, they can't take anything with him. That's the point is, he's got a check for $50 million. It's doing him no good. He's not taking it with him. He's not taking that other wealth, nor is he can't cash the check where he's going. Right? There's no ATMs down there. So anyway, that's the joke. Very intelligent woman. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.